is that place? I know it's around here somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Hello, is anybody here? Hello?
Well, hello there, young man. Is there anything that I can help you with today?
Yeah, I really hope you can. You see, I've been struggling to find my boss the perfect Christmas gift. He really is a guy who has everything. The bizarre part of my visit today is really how I found out about your shop. I had a layover last night at O'Hare and I went down to the Rock Bottom for a few drinks. I sat down next to this guy and we started to chat. He told me about his years in the fastener business and how he'd seen the good times and the bad. His presence felt almost like a mysterious guru kind of guy. Everything he told me about life just struck a chord. It was like he knew me, inside and out. I told him that I was looking for a gift for my boss, and he scratched his head for a moment, finished his old rusty bolt, and told me to come here. At that, he wished me good luck in my search and started to leave. I said, "Hey, mister, thanks for the conversation and the good advice. What's your name anyway?" He said, "People just call me the traveling salesman." He tipped his hat, stepped out into the whirling snow, and disappeared. So here I am. Pretty strange, huh?
The truth of the matter is, it actually doesn't sound odd at all, and I'm sure at some point you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But let's forget about that for now. Why don't you come over here and see what we have? A 1947 RCA. It's in immaculate shape. It's really quite a wonder of technology for its day.
I don't mean to cut you off, but my boss has a lot of antique radios, and I've seen a lot that look just like this one. Is there anything here that's really unique?
Well, I actually have a brand new Bose wave radio system over here that you put your iPod right in the
Again,
top.
sir, I really don't want to waste your time, you know. He has one of these. He has everything. If you don't have something truly unique, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to move on.
Truly unique, you say? Well, I do have one thing. Follow me. Vladimir, could you watch the shop for me while I take this gentleman upstairs?
Vladimir will watch shop with eyes like eagle and rule employees with iron fist until you return.
Thank you, Vladimir. I appreciate your help. Do be careful on the stairs.
This may sound a little odd, but where exactly are you taking me?
You said you wanted something unique, right? Well, here it is.
What, that rusty old box? Is that what you're going to show me? A rusty old box?
Well, I guess you're not really interested then in opening up the lid.
Oh, no. I came this far. I mean, it can't hurt to look, right?
What is it? It's the most beautiful thing my eyes have ever seen. This is what you seek. This is what you have been after. This is where your heart has been drawn to. It speaks of the future. It speaks of the past with such loving tones that soothe the savage beast. This is fully threaded radio.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. If you've heard talk about an on-demand Fastener Talk radio show lately, this is probably the one they've been speaking of. and we're glad you clicked in. Well, it's been a veritable Santa's workshop around the FTR studios since our last show, and we've cobbled together a very special end-of-the-season Christmas-themed show for you, with lots of predominantly Fastener-related content and other assorted jolliness, and I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. Hi everyone, Eric Dudas here, and the co-host of Fully Threaded is a man who we consider the head elf around here, and he'd probably look good in those elf shoes too. He's the one and only Mr. Brian Musker. You ready to tear the wrapping paper off of this one today, Bri?
Actually, I've been tearing the wrapping off some Christmas decorations, which I was putting up early this morning. But actually, I don't look too good in elf shoes, okay?
And does anybody really, though?
No, I don't think so. Not even elves.
Well, it sounds like you've got a jump on all of the prep out there. And I have to say, I think you have the jump on me.
Actually, I'm the last one in the whole street, to tell you the truth. I usually beat everyone else, but this year I haven't.
Well, you and Lynn live on a very festive street, and you're lucky because it's always great to drive down your street on any holiday, actually, but Christmas is particularly festive in your neighborhood.
Yeah, that's true.
And what about today's show? You've been prepping for that too?
Oh, yes, of course I have. Hey, this is the Fastener world.
Oh, you pulled out all the stops for the Christmas show.
Of course. Actually, I went back and looked at the well, we didn't call it a Christmas show, really, the one we did at the end of last year, too.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Well, we'll have a lot more retrospective when we continue, and we'll do that right after we hear about what else the elves have been working on for today's show.
Right.
This is episode 36, and we're publishing on December 8th, 2011. If you're not in the holiday spirit yet, well, you've come to the right Fastener Talk radio show for that. Our feature segment today is an all-star year-end blowout. And the panel features industry-renowned blogger, The Traveling Salesman. And, from ScrewCrew.com, the ethereal Mr. Andy Pels. Plus, our newest FTR regular contributor from JHP Fasteners, J.R. Prahl. We had a lot of fun putting this two-part segment together as we tackled the top Fastener stories of 2011, discussed some highlights from this year's Fully Threaded episodes, and more. And we capped the conversation off with our predictions for 2012, and you'll be shocked and amazed at what our panel came up with for those. Plus, we promoted that we'd have O.J. Simpson of Stelfast on the program with us today, but I received an email from Stelfast headquarters alerting me that something suddenly came up, and O.J. would not be able to record with us. However, the good news is we came out ahead on this deal with an upgrade. Yep, the rock star of the fastener industry, Stelfast president Simmi, spent a few minutes with us and shared her thoughts on the state of the industry and gave us an update on the Stelfast facility in Los Angeles that they've recently opened up. And to kick all of that off, Mr. Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International magazine has the Fastener News Report for us. Mike also got in the spirit as he made his predictions for the new year. And you won't be surprised to know that they're not all fastener related.
Wow. Now that is a stocking stuffer of a lineup.
Wow. Good Christmas reference there, Bri.
Yeah, I missed the ho-ho-ho bit out, though.
The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Stelfast, with their newest branch location in Los Angeles now operational. For service you deserve and people you trust, it's Stelfast. And Beacon Fasteners and Components. Their line of top-quality machine screws is getting lots of attention. Contact them today and find out why. Beacon Fasteners. Nice threads. Well, thank you once again for clicking into the show today, everyone. We appreciate that very much, and we enjoy hearing from you. So if you have something to share, please do. You can always reach us at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out there on Twitter under the handle Fully Threaded. In other social media, we like to put links to some of our stories out on the Facebook page, so you can get with us that way, and that's the Fully Threaded Radio Facebook page for those of you who are partaking. You've been getting out to Facebook lately these days much, Bri?
I haven't been doing too much posting to it. I regularly look at it, make sure it's sort of all right, and check the comments that people have put there. I leave the active social media part up to you, actually.
Yeah, I noticed that. Have you ever posted once, even?
Yes, I have. Yes. When we started all off, I did all that. Yeah, J.R. Prahl sitting there smiling, okay? It's like, yeah.
And we'll hear more from him on that subject a little bit later.
Right.
And as long as we're cruising along on a high note right now, we better get this little ditty out of the way. Yes, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for
Screw Up of the Week.
Well, that wasn't very Christmassy. What did we do this time?
Well, this one was 100% my doing, and the error I made during episode 35 was met swiftly with an email from MWFA Executive Director Nancy Rich, and she pointed out that I botched the dates of next year's MWFA show and golf outing. The correct dates for that are as follows. The 31st annual MWFA Fastener show, being held at Medina Banquets, will be on June 25th. That's a Monday. That's 2012. The next day at Eaglewood Resort, that's June 26th, is the golf outing. And that's going to be a great event, as always, run by the MWFA. And I got the dates wrong on the last show, but I don't know. What do you think, Brian? Maybe you and I should go out there and hang out and catch all the people who show up for the wrong date?
We could do that. I mean, I wouldn't really want to be out there pretending to play golf. That would really show me up.
I know what you mean. But they always do a great job with these events, and you're definitely going to want to get there on the right day.
Right, yep.
So, sorry about that, Nancy. I think this rectifies it, and we should all be square now. I'll see her at the Christmas party and find out, I guess.
Right.
And this has been our Screw Up of the Week. And it's all uphill from here, folks, so, that's the good news. I'm glad to have that over with.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, kind of the down point of the show.
Yeah, the mistakes we made last time, okay?
And while we're discussing the MWFA, they've announced their officers for the coming year, and I've got that roster right here. The president of the MWFA is now Matt DeLauder. He's from SWD, home of the Blackhawks. In the VP slot, Mr. Rich Cavoto, our buddy.
Wow. He's not going to have any time to come on over FTR then.
Yeah, I know. He's busy as it is. So, and not only that, but this is going to leave a huge hole in the entertainment committee.
Right.
Rich Cavoto, of course, the Fastener pipeline to the stars.
Right.
Then in the treasurer position, we have Paula Evitz of KDS Imports. And I noticed they also have the co-treasurer position. And in that role, we've got Bob O'Brien with Certified Products. Now, co-treasurer, I wonder, how does that work, you figure?
Someone to look over your shoulder in case you cook the books.
Yeah, I don't think anything like that was even possible with this group of people, but co-treasurer. Did you ever see that episode of The Brady Bunch where Marsha Brady was a co-hostess? Did you ever see that one?
Eric, we didn't get TV in New Zealand until 1964, okay? And it was black and white, and it was all BBC.
Yes, you keep reminding me.
Right, so there was no such thing as Brady Bunch, okay?
Marsha was hot in that episode. Secretary is Glenn Bryn with Innovative Components. And I'm sure if there's anything awry in this report, I'll hear about it right away, right?
Yeah, right.
And you can get updates on all the MWFA information at their website, which is www.mwfa.net. And that includes info on the show, other events, and I don't know, if any impeachment proceedings are underway for the new officers. I guess they'd make that announcement there too.
I don't think anyone can be impeached but the president, can it? Isn't that a title? Isn't that solely for the presidency?
I haven't read the bylaws, Bri.
Okay. I don't expect we'll be hearing anything about that.
No, I don't either. They're all good people over there. Sounded funny, though. And speaking of good people, we're the people who bring you the FCH Sourcing Network, and that can be found at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. Hope you all get out there whenever the need arises to find an inventory item that you're having a hard time with, if you have to do a spot buy or it's just a difficult to locate fastener. FCH is the network more and more people are turning to these days, and there's something over 600,000 line items out there, and you're always welcome to use it as a resource. The flip side of that, is you should get your inventory listed out there, and we'll drive business your way. All our contact info is on the site, and it's a pretty easy to understand concept, and we'll help you through getting your inventory listed up there. It's not a problem. We've written some software that makes that a snap. Some people call it the scrubber. It's pretty well known. Website for all of this is at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com.
With an S.
That's right. And the S is for season's greetings.
At the moment it is, you're right.
Well, the network has really been chugging along, actually, this last month, and we came out of Thanksgiving really with a furor, which was really good to see. And you've been busy yourself, kind of working away in your workshop. And what have you been doing lately, Brian, on the sourcing network?
Well, I've been working on something that really we've had it on the back burner for really quite a long time, really based on some work with Gary Polipnik of Fastener. He put something in my mind about washers, which I thought about and seemed to me really smart. I guess the real problem with washers is that it's one of these rare fasteners that people don't really refer to the size of a washer by its dimension. It's the bolt it fits on usually. So it's consequently really hard to find or search for them because someone may have loaded up 0.523 or something, but it's really a half-inch washer. So we've changed our search.
And so how does this improve things?
Well, it makes it so that you can now search for like a 1/4 inch. Okay, you can just type in a 1/4. If you search for a flat washer, you can put 1/4 inch, and it will go through and it'll search for the washers that fit over a bolt diameter of 1/4 inch. And so the scrubber has been, for the last year, has been converting washers over and looking up the ANSI tables and the SAE tables and things to find out, given the diameter of the inside diameter of a washer, what really is the bolt it fits on. So hopefully it'll make it easier for people to find washers and easier for people who are trying to sell them to have those things found.
Well, that sounds like yet another improvement, making things more user-friendly. So good work on that one, Bray.
Right. And so I'd also look forward to comments from people who are using the search to see, I'm sure there's some issues that we haven't thought of properly. And if they want to let us know, then be happy to incorporate any suggestions.
Once again, folks, you can get to the FCH sourcing network at www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. And there's a contact us page on there. If you do have some input for Brian, please do use that page. Let him know, and chances are he'll get with you and you can talk it through. We do really rely heavily on our users to help us along as we improve things. And as I mentioned, FCH has really been in high gear lately, and there have been actually a lot of positive reports from across the industry. We've been calling around a lot as we usually do, and people have just so many good things to say. Now, the reports are not without a few sad stories here and there. I mean, they are out there, but really things are strong. For another perspective on what's going on in the economy and what other people in the wider industrial supply space are experiencing as well, I guess, there was a good story on globalfastenernews.com from 12/5, which was a summary of some of the comments made by staff to Executive Director Georgia Foley. And the takeaway from all of this is, according to her analysis, is that the economy is basically in neutral.
Okay.
It could be worse.
Oh, yeah, it could be worse. It could be back where we were 2 years ago, where it was nearly in a free fall, wasn't it?
Right. The story starts off, she says, the current economic environment is stuck in neutral, and depending on which economist you listen to, many are not predicting a recovery period for the construction industry until 2015. She said this at the 35th annual STAFTA convention. A couple of the interesting bullet points from this. 1 in 5 Americans with mortgages owe more than their homes are worth, as equity has fallen to 38% from 59% back in 2005.
Wow.
Another one, McGraw-Hill Construction calculates that the total construction for the first 9 months of 2011 was down 5% from the same period in 2010. That's not really a surprise.
No, I think that's pretty positive, actually. I would have thought it would be more.
Yeah, actually, me too. There's one that was kind of good. She says, the quasi-good news is that overall residential construction is stabilizing at a low volume after having shown declines earlier this year.
Well, that sort of figures, though, because, I mean, what we've been hearing for the last 2 years is that there was, it was speculative construction that took place heavily 3 years ago, wasn't it? Up to 3 years ago. So there was still a surplus of properties.
Right. And, of course, the Stafta group is, like I said, wider, industrially focused, I guess, and a lot of tool suppliers and so forth. So they're looking at things from a little bit of a different perspective, but it definitely dovetails into our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, there was another big piece of news that was shooting around the industry recently, and that was the announcement about Asian steel output and pricing.
Yeah, I saw that too. I guess it was not unexpected, is it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if you're Bruce Darling, but for me, I just kind of take these headlines as they come. There was one I saw on Twitter about a week back, and it started off, China Steel Corporation, Taiwan's leading integrated producer of steel products, will cut capacity 20% in December to cope with the sluggish global steel market. And other downstream producers are expected to follow suit.
So I guess that's their attempt to, stabilize the pricing, isn't it?
Right, and it certainly implies that there's a lower demand. So,
right.
And there have also been announcements about price cuts ranging from 7 to 8% from those same producers. Now, Simmi talks about this coming up in our first feature segment. So that's a potentially significant bit of news right there for the industry. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, that would indicate then that, the cost of fasteners should come down. It also has an interesting effect which widens slightly the gap between the cost of a fastener produced in, say, Asia and in the US.
Yeah, good point. Well, as we'll hear, there are probably some other offsetting variables to consider, but I'm sure there are a lot of opinions on this. We'll have to watch on it, though, because production decreasing and price decreases are a very interesting statement about the state of affairs in the world economy right now.
Right.
Hey, now shifting gears to somebody who's embracing the future with a new product. I got this email last week from Joanne Bialas, CFA president and international fastener sales manager. She was telling me about this cool new fastener invention, and we'll put this up on the Fully Threaded Facebook page, folks. There's a movie on this product. You can check it out. It's called Snap It, and the website is snapitscrew.com. Did you take a look at this, Brian?
Yes, I did, and it sort of is an interesting idea. I mean, I've been wearing glasses since I was 16, so this product addresses the problem of the screws falling out of the glasses, and of course the problem is they're so small, usually you lose them. But if you can, they're sort of so hard to deal with. You can hardly pick them up. It's the video deals exactly with my own experiences. I've had this exact problem.
Well, the whole thing is banking on the fact that you're going to lose the screw once it falls out of your glasses, and you're going to need this product. But the cool thing about it is it's got this leader that helps you to thread that tiny little screw into your glasses, and then once you've put that leader in and threaded it through, then you just break off that leading edge, and it makes for, I guess, a nice, clean, repaired eyeglass.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the idea of that sort of thing's been around for years, really. I mean, that's like in cars. That's how they stop people from fiddling around with steering columns. The bolts that screw it in break off.
Right. Well, I guess in fairness, I haven't vetted this thing to see if it's actually unique, but Joanne did tell me that there was a patent on this, and I guess the inventor contacted her and wanted to talk about it with CFA.
Right, and I believe the patent's just been issued, actually. So it's a really interesting thought on how to solve a common problem. Okay, everyone who's got glass at some stage, one of the screws has fallen out and you've lost them. Okay, and you have to take your glasses back to the optician or something, and likely as not they can't find screws for it. So it's a real pain in the neck.
Yeah, for me, all my fishing glasses, I've at one time or another, they've all lost one of the arms, and then I just grab some leader material and kind of jerry rig it and hope it lasts until the trip is over. And I can never find the screw, and then I always think, oh yeah, I'll go to the store and get it fixed, but I never do. I wind up getting a new pair of glasses.
Right. Well, I thought you usually you leave glasses somewhere anyway, so you don't have too much trouble having them breaking, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, well, that's probably a subject for a whole nother show.
Right. We'll leave that one, okay?
I'm hoping Santa's going to put some brand new fishing glasses in my stocking this year. I could always use them. What do I go through? Maybe like 3 pairs a year?
At least, actually.
Well, this Snap-It screw kit looks like something I could actually use, and I'm going to look at it. But we'll put that up on the Facebook page. Take a look at it when you get a chance, folks.
Yeah, do it.
It would make a great gift-giving idea.
You're right. Someone who wears glasses. I wonder who that would be.
And just ahead of Mike McNulty's Fastener News Report, here's another something that would make a perfect stocking stuffer for that special fastener someone on your list. And that would be a gift certificate to the Fastener Training Institute. I mean, who wouldn't want this?
Wow, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. They've got a 5-day intensive program coming up for the Certified Fastener Specialist certification, and that's happening February 27th through March 2nd in La Mirada, California.
Okay, this is aimed at people who have just joined a fastener company and need to get a really good grounding in the basics of fasteners, isn't it?
Well, that would be an ideal candidate, I have to think. And hey, let's face it, there are a lot of people who have been in the industry for a long time who could probably stand to brush up. And if you've got somebody on your team who is a good candidate for this, now's your chance. Their website is fastenertraining.org. And once again, that's happening February 27th through March 2nd, 2012 in La Mirada, California. Well, thank you once again, everybody, for listening in, and also to our sponsors. And there's Stelfast and Beacon Fasteners and Components.
Yes, thank you.
We've had a lot of positive input over the last year, predominantly. And just want you folks to know that we really do appreciate it. It's like a gift every time we get one of these emails from you.
Oh, you're really thinking in the Christmas spirit, okay?
And speaking of gifts, people have many gifts, and I know someone who has the gift of complete, uninterruptible focus. And that, of course, is Mr. Mike McNulty. Here he is with the Fastener News Report.
Thanks, Brian and Eric, and greetings to all the fully threaded radio listeners out there. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International magazine, bringing you the final Fastener News Report of 2011, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. Well, guys, I am glad that basketball games are underway at all education levels here in Ohio and across the country, grade school, high school, and college, but I am less than enthused about the return of the non-education connected NBA. On the economic side, I was encouraged to see strong Black Friday sales results, as well as the transformation of people from occupying Wall Street to occupying Walmarts. With the holidays approaching, I have lots of sports, shopping, and entertainment distractions, but I am determined more than ever to stay focused on the fastener industry for the rest of this year and next year. Today's top story is that Agrati and Semblex are teaming up in an alliance to provide fastener solutions and cold form special products to OEM and component suppliers that have global locations. Also in today's report are 10 newsmaker headlines and the back page of this report featuring some of my gut level predictions for 2012. We will get to all of that and the Agrati Semblex story right after this.
Volt Industrial Plastics is the source for all your high-quality plastic fastener needs, and customer service is their #1 priority. With almost 1 million fasteners in stock and same-day shipping on stock items, Volt Industrial Plastics carries inventory so you don't have to. Volt manufactures everything in-house from over 125 different materials, and they're proud to say 100% of their products are American-made. And of course, custom tooling and in-house bagging is available. Contact Volt online at www.voltplastics.com. Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners.
Mike McNulty.
Welcome back. The Italian multinational Agrati Group, a 72-year-old European fastener supplier, and the American company Semblex Corporation, a fastener maker and engineering resource-based company in Elmhurst, Illinois, have made a global alliance to provide fastener solutions and cold-form special products on an international basis. The alliance has the objective of providing global customers with a single source for technical, quality, and logistics support. Local engineering support, local quality response, and local sales support, as well as in-country inventory and material planning, will be provided for fastener users in Europe, North America, and Asia. Agrati will provide local services in Europe and Asia, while Semblex will be the base for North America. Headquarters in Viduggio, Italy, Agrati is one of Europe's largest suppliers of screws, bolts, and nuts. The company was founded in 1939 by the Agrati family, and today it has annual sales of 350 million euros, 1,700 employees, and 11 plants around the world, including operations in Italy, France, and China. Semblex was founded in 1968, and it has grown from a manufacturer of standard small-diameter fasteners at a single factory to an expansive organization that provides innovative fastener solutions and complex cold-form special components. Semblex now operates 4 plants at its Elmhurst campus, and it has about 200 employees. Now let's move on to today's top 10 Fastener Newsmaker headlines. Spiral International Corporation now meets the requirements of NADCAP accreditation for chemical processing of fasteners and small parts. EFC has appointed Specialty Sales as its sales representative to support customers in California and Nevada. Sheila Levy has joined the Cont Mid Group as an account manager, reporting directly to the sales manager, Bob Kaminsky. Sheila's main focus will be to cover Western Michigan, Northern Indiana, and Ohio. Lawson Products is leasing a new state-of-the-art Midwest packaging and distribution center in McCook, Illinois, and it is relocating its corporate headquarters to a leased facility in Chicago. The United States Department of Commerce has determined that 3 United Arab Emirates companies, Dubai Wire, Precision Fasteners LLC, and TechFast International, have been dumping steel nails into the USA at margins ranging from 19 to 61%. Republic Steel is investing $85 million in an electric arc furnace and associated equipment at its steelmaking facility in Lorain, Ohio, to meet growing demand for specialty bar quality steel that is used in many applications, including fastener making. By the order of the United States Bankruptcy Court, the assets and intellectual property of Arc Fastener Supply in Rancho Cucamonga, California, will be auctioned off by BidItUp.com in an on-site and webcast auction on December 20th. Available assets include packaging lines, metalworking machines, warehouse equipment, fasteners, and office equipment. The Elgin Fastener Group has acquired the cold heading segment of Landreth Fastener Corp. Landreth advanced from owning a single piece of cold heading equipment in 1962 to becoming a 35,000 square foot manufacturing facility with 27 cold headers, a machine shop, a tooling shop, and an automatic inspection and packaging area. Embraer and Alcoa signed a technology sharing agreement that uses Alcoa proprietary aluminum alloys and its fastener technologies to support Embraer's development of new high-performance metallic fuselage and wing solutions for its family of Embraer commercial jets. And our final Fastener Newsmaker headline for today is that the new Fastener Distributors Index, known as FDI, will be unveiled in January of 2012 by Holden Lewis of BB&T Capital Markets and the FCH Sourcing Network, the producers of Fully Threaded Radio. FDI will identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the USA fastener industry, and it will appear on Fully Threaded Radio and in print on the pages of Fastener Technology International. Finally, let's turn to the back page of this report. We're just about done with 2011, so my thoughts are turning to 2012. Here are 10 of my gut-level predictions for the new year. Number 1, we will see improvements in the automotive and aerospace fastener segments. Number 2, the trend of reshoring manufacturing operations back to the USA will continue and accelerate. Number 3, renewable energy products like solar and wind will level off and see reduced growth levels. Number 4, traditional energy production and investment in areas such as oil, gas, and coal will surge. Number 5, fastener industry mergers and acquisitions in the USA will increase. Number 6, Chinese suppliers will begin consolidation and their activity in Western markets will level off. Number 7, incandescent light bulbs will survive. Number 8, the Occupiers movement will die. Number 9, the Ohio State Buckeyes basketball team will be in the Final Four. And number 10, finally, there will be a landslide in the USA presidential election and not in favor of Obama. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Be on the lookout for the December issue of Fastener Technology International, which hits the street and the internet next week. And remember to send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Simmi from Stelfast joins us next. Then it's our all-star panel with the end-of-the-year blowout. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's Fully Threaded.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Beacon Fasteners have arrived to redefine the notion of superior engineering. See one and behold the ultimate synthesis of form and function, style and substance. Hear one as the head turns with inexorable force. Touch one and feel the fire-forged steel standing in stark contrast to the sleek and graceful lines of the body. But to drive one, to drive a 2012 Beacon Fastener is to experience a harmony of power and performance that surpasses all expectations. At any speed, at any torque, each 2012 Beacon Fastener model offers a level of handling unparalleled in its class. A feat made possible by the knowledge acquired through rigorous and systematic test driving, conducted at our own industry-renowned proving grounds, nestled in the heartland of America. And with the 2012 model year, we proudly introduce the newest high-performance addition to our lineup, the Machine Screw Series. Call toll-free at 800-669-2658 for your own private consultation with a Beacon representative and learn a whole new definition of performance. The 2012 Beacon Fasteners have arrived. Drive one today.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
FastenersClearinghouse.com. Search and source from over 500,000 line items, or just a mouse click away and available at no charge. When the need arises, you won't find a better place to locate hard-to-find fastener inventory. It's where you need to be.
This is Joe Truckee of Cal Fasteners, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for us.
This is Robert Wanzer, and Fasteners Clearinghouse works for American Imperial.
This is Andy Pels from ScrewCrew.com, and FCH works for the fastener industry.
Join the sourcing network now and show your inventory to a whole new market. Turn slow movers into cash. List up to 10,000 line items. Show them to distributors only or to the world. FastenersClearinghouse.com. It's where you need to be.
When people think Fastener Talk Radio, they think, huh. But then they think of fully threaded radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
Hi, this is Megan with Beacon Fasteners and Components. Check out our lines of nice threads today. You are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
We announced on an earlier episode of Fully Threaded that Stelfast was opening a new branch in Los Angeles. That facility is now operational, and who better to fill us in on the details than the big boss over at Stelfast. Simmi, thanks for joining us again.
Hi, Eric. Always a pleasure.
Well, glad to have you. We announced earlier that we upgraded, a little change in the schedule, but such is the rough and tumble business of fastener podcasting, I guess, right?
Conversations with me are always much more enjoyable.
That's why you're the boss.
Of course. So we have expanded. We're on the West Coast. We're doing our full opening, everybody on the phones, ready to sell and inventory on the floor on December 12th. Up until now, it's been getting to know the West Coast for Stelfast. We've got a really experienced team out there who already knows the customers and the product lines real well. But for the Stelfast family, it's been getting to know the West Coast, meeting some of the customers, and sort of a gradual introduction for us. But we're open and ready to go as of December 12th. And I plan on being in LA on December 12th to help answer the phones and talk to the customers and get things going.
Oh, well, that's deluxe. I wasn't aware of that. That's probably a pretty good policy. Get out there yourself and get things going. Now, that was one of the big messages that Stelfast was presenting at the NIFS show. I'm curious, speaking of that, though, before we get to more of the Los Angeles branch, does Stelfast kind of experience a bump in business after that, or is it just kind of a PR thing and you just kind of continue as normal? How's that usually work out for you guys?
I think it's a really interesting show. I would think most people in the industry would feel the same way we do about it with regards to the fact that there's good attendance. There are a lot of people out there. There's a lot of positive that comes out of the show. But it also happens to fall at a time when businesses start to slow a little. Get a little bit more vacation come November, December between Thanksgiving and Christmas. You don't have construction ramp-ups and things like that necessarily. So I think the demand in the industry doesn't necessarily surge after the show. However, I think that for the Stelfast team, we came back extremely excited, very motivated, and energized to keep growing with what we're doing. So the morale's always really high after spend some time with customers and thank them for support and learn more about what they do, as well as meeting new customers and learning about new opportunities. So I think that sort of drives this increase in activity after the show. It's not necessarily the economy. It's not necessarily hundreds of new customers that you found. But I think it's the increased information that you gather so that you can better serve your existing customers and start calling on some of the new ones that you got to meet as well.
And, of course, this year they moved the show up to October, and that probably offered a benefit from previous years when it sort of tailed right into Thanksgiving and then the holiday season. So I think they made a good move on that. Did you experience a positive impact off of that?
I think for our team and for the customers and the suppliers that were there, I think moving up the show is definitely beneficial. It just gives us the time to focus on just the show for a little bit, have the time when we come back from the show to really act on what we want to act on. So yeah, I think moving the show to the times that they had has definitely been beneficial.
I think a lot of people agree with you on that one. Well, let me ask you this, just in general then, what are you seeing in the market from your perspective? We've heard a lot of positive response from people that we've been talking to with FCH, and you're kind of at the top of the pyramid. So how have things been looking, and what are you looking for into the close of the year?
Stelfast is, and obviously I'm biased, but Stelfast is always a fun and exciting company to be with. We have a lot of growth potential. We have new product lines. We have new territories. We have new team members. So we're constantly seeing increases in growth in what we're doing. We watch the market, and everybody watches the economy to see what's going on. where new housing build is, government projects, all of those types of things. But I think we've taken on a mentality within our company about the fact that we can watch everything going on as much as we want, but we sort of have to drive the path of what we want. And the path of what we want is growth. So we're seeing growth. We're seeing growth in our new branch that's opening up. We're seeing growth in our new product lines we're bringing on the floor. We're seeing growth in almost everything that we're doing, and we're definitely enjoying it.
Hey, what's not to enjoy, right?
Well, challenges are always fun. When you have to come to the office every day and do the same thing that you did yesterday, I think it would get boring for anybody. It's great. We come to the office with a new challenge every day. New opportunity, new obstacle, whatever it is. It's always a challenge which will give you the opportunity to do better at what you're doing. We're also really fortunate. You know this as well as anybody. We work in an industry with a lot of really great people. It's fun to be on the phone with your customers, to talk about what's going on, to talk to people in our industry. We've got a lot of really great people in our industry, so it makes it work, but it's also social, and it's building friendships and relationships. I think we get the best of both worlds. Fully Threaded Radio is a great example. You have several times where you have groups of people who are on having conversations, lasting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, however long they talk for, but it's because of the fact that there's the relationship and there's the friendship, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a good point. We've been having some fun with it, that's for sure, and definitely made a lot of friends.
And that's always important. I think the happier you are coming to work at what you do, the better you do.
Well, I'm going to try and get you to answer one hard economic question, Simmi, if I can, and that is, what do you read into this recent announcement from the China steel price reductions? Does that kind of mean anything significant to you?
I think that it shows that there still isn't the growth and the acceleration that everybody would like to see in the economies around the world, not just in the United States. We've got to remember that, China Steel and Taiwan are supplying products to the United States, to Europe, to many different countries. So they're driving on all the economic factors out there. So I think it shows that the economies are not recovering the way that everybody would like them to recover. And I think we all know that from reading the newspaper and reading news online every day. So because of that, there has to be some adjustments. But the adjustments also coming at a time where traditionally November, December, demands are down, requirements are down. Is this a trend that carries into the quarter after that is really the big question to show if this is a downward trend. But I think it's a time when we expect a little bit of softening. Unfortunately, for us as importers, we take a look at it and say there has been a reduction in steel. But the reduction in steel for us is also coming at a time when we know Chinese New Year's around the corner, which generally then means an increase in overseas freight rates. So as an importer, we're sitting back and waiting to see, okay, we have this slight reduction in steel. What happens to freight rates now? Because come Chinese New Year, there's always this bottleneck of freight. And the ocean carriers tend to come out and put out increases. We're already hearing information, and we tweeted, I want to say yesterday, with regards to the fact that ocean carriers are talking about peak season surcharges and GRIs, which are rate increases. So how much of that's going to offset this decrease in steel? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, we'll watch and see if that offset happens. Yeah, you mentioned tweeting about this whole situation, and I have seen Stelfast out there tweeting a little bit more. I think people should probably think about following you if they use Twitter, because your tweets seem to be no nonsense. You're pretty much helping people to understand what's going on in the market, and that's a very good use of the tool.
Well, our goal for Twitter is to be able to provide information which is relevant to the people in our industry. It's not a marketing campaign about, our nut product that we have on the floor, the large diameters that we carry, or the anchors that we carry. We're trying to put it out there so that people can hear about what's China Steel doing and what's going on with the freight rates, the railroad strike, as to whether or not that was going to happen with the railroad unions. Information is free. Everybody can access it by going online, and we don't always have time to go online and Google and look to see what's going on. Well, as importers, we have to stay on top of what's going on, because the product we're dealing with and buying today, we're not selling for 3, 4, 5 months down the road. So we really need to know what's happening today and what's being forecasted to happen. And because all that's available on the internet, part of the service that we want to provide our customers is an easy, quick way to get that information. And that's what we're trying to use our Twitter account for.
Well, from what I've seen, mission accomplished. I hope you guys keep it up. That's for sure.
Well, thanks. We appreciate it. It's something new to Stelfast. So getting to learn how to use it and how to use it effectively, obviously there's a learning curve. But
there sure is.
We've had some good friends who've guided us along the way, so we're appreciating that.
There's a lot of things to learn, that's for sure, and we all are. That's one thing that I can tell you without any hesitancy. Well, hey, getting back to the Los Angeles branch once again, you're going to be out there on December 12th to formalize the official opening of the facility, and anything else that listeners should know about that new branch?
Basically that we're open for business as of December 12th. We're carrying our full product line out there. We have a great seasoned team out there who know the product, know the industry, know the customers, and we're really, really looking forward to it. So far, the customers have been fantastic in welcoming us, and we're going to bring the Stelfast reputation and the Stelfast service out to the West Coast, and that's what we're going to provide our customers with.
Well, that sounds great, and I hope as we wind this down, Simmi, that you'll do one thing for me, and that is come back and let's do a full fun segment next time. I know we kind of scrambled on this one because we were originally going to have OJ on with us, and then something suddenly came up, so we had to change our plans. But will you do that?
Most definitely. You know me, I'm always happy to come on and talk some more.
That's perfect. Hey, you didn't happen to, by any chance, see that one episode of the Brady Bunch where Marcia got stood up and that was the line, did you? Something suddenly came up?
I have seen that one, yes.
Who hasn't, right?
That was definitely back in my day.
Simmi, you're a good sport. Thanks so much for joining us, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Thanks, Eric. Always a pleasure.
Here it is, the final segment of the final Fully Threaded for 2011, and we thought we'd pull out all the stops, and we're going to try to do that right now. Joining us in the virtual studio for a year-end fastener industry blowout, we have from ScrewCrew.com the enterprising Mr. Andy Pels. Andy, how you doing?
I'm very enterprising today. It's good to be back.
Yes, well, after episode 34, we had quite a bit of input on that, and hopefully we're going to get a little update on that whole situation a little bit later. Good job on that.
Oh, yeah, it was very interesting. Thank you.
Missed you in Vegas, but it sounds like it was well worth it.
Yeah.
Also with us on our all-star lineup, man of 1,000 voices, from JHP Fasteners, J.R. Prahl. J.R.
It is pleasure to be with you today, Eric.
That sounds like Vladimir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was Vlad. He was just checking in for a minute. How's it going, guys?
Good.
If you don't know who you're talking to, it's probably JR. Also on the panel today, renowned industry blogger, the mysterious traveling salesman. TS, thanks for being with us again.
It is my pleasure. True to my name, I was out on the road today making sales calls even after the long Thanksgiving weekend, and made it back in time to join you folks on this final episode of the year.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to do that. I saw you put a new post up here today, or possibly it was the day before, and more good work coming out of that blog that you have there at fastenerblog.net. Of course, joining us also, as always, is our wingman for this, the one and only Mr. Brian Musker. Brian, you got your answers to our panel questions today?
No, I haven't, okay? I've been working at how to change my way I say things to throw JR off the scent.
Yes, you must be talking, of course, about the newly acquired voice impersonation of your own voice.
Right.
Hey, JR, can I hear a little Brian? Can you do that for me?
You want to hear little Brian, okay? I'm not quite sure I know exactly what you're looking for, but maybe something like this, okay?
That's really good.
Now, format for the conversation today is that we're going to go in round robin fashion, and we're going to talk about a couple of topics that we asked each other before the segment, and so we'll go in round robin fashion, as we've never done anything quite like this on Fully Threaded before. So we'll see how we manage with organizing all the voices. So the voice impersonations just adds another dimension to the whole thing, JR. We were at FabTech about, 2 weeks ago, and you were giving us a preview of this whole thing, and I guess you were just kind of starting off on the whole Brian Musker adventure at that point. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, impersonation is the sincerest form of flattery, so you should be completely and thoroughly flattered by that, Brian.
I think it's imitation as opposed to impersonation, okay?
Why, 6 and 1, 6 and 1, half dozen the other. I mean, come on.
Actually, the thing just as well is that New Zealanders are known not for saying only okay, it's saying a more often than Canadians do, okay?
Okay, I got it.
Could be worse.
That's okay. A? Got it.
I wasn't one of those ones, but that's New Zealand talk.
So you say A and okay
A.
with a sheep joke in the middle, right? And that's how it works?
New Zealanders don't really tell sheep jokes. Other people tell sheep jokes about New Zealanders.
Well, gentlemen, we have a few subjects to cover here, and we also have some input from a variety of other industry luminaries, and among them are Andy Cohn, Mike McNulty, Jennifer Friel, and Russ Doran, as well as SIFA President Joanne Bialas. And I've got 5 topics, and then we'll just kind of get the ball rolling, if that sounds okay with everybody. Number 1 is top Fastener news stories of 2011. The second subject is the best FTR interview of 2011. Third is the most interesting Fastener-related Twitter user. So we'll delve into the social media realm. I think we're all participants in that to a greater or lesser extent. Number 4, the most underreported theme or story of the year. And then we'll finish up with some predictions. So to get started on that, let me give you a couple of our remote panelists, what they submitted, because I think they kind of set the tone for this pretty well. Mike McNulty wrote in that, in his opinion, the top stories were, number 1, Heads and Threads. Number 2, Cardinal Fastener. Number 3, Fastener shows and the end of the Columbus show in particular. Number 4 was the Fastener dumping issue in general, and I'm thinking that he was probably talking about the Nucor anti-dumping also coming back. And finally, expansions, and he uses as examples Field Fastener and the Elgin Fastener Group. And then Russ, he also, of course, mentioned Heads and Threads. Everybody mentions Heads. Related to that was the Porteous purchase of Heads and Threads inventory, Nucor anti-dumping. And then he threw in the Granger-Fabry deal, and then also the Worth-Doka deal. So kind of in line with Mike McNulty was thinking. And TS, why don't we let you kick off on this one? What do you think about some of the top stories? I'm guessing you're going to agree Heads was definitely the story of the year.
Yeah, that's kind of the easy number 1 story because they've been around so long, and it actually had a ripple effect in the industry. It affected all the other importers, and again, Porteous buying them out. So I would definitely say that would be number 1. And I think not to just keep going with this, but number 2 again is kind of that Doka/Cardinal story. I mean, if nothing had happened with Cardinal, Doka was an impressive story because probably the first large manufacturing plant to be opened up in the United States in a while. Just a full-blown new venture, a lot of money invested. You don't see that too much these days in our industry, really. And then the fact that that same organization was involved in buying Cardinal is a very interesting story. And the fact that Cardinal went bankrupt is an interesting story, so it's kind of connected. I think those definitely are right there near the top, that everybody would have to have them in at least their top three, and I can't imagine what would come in front of those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Lynn Dempsey was at the MWFA awards dinner a couple of weeks ago with Brian, and she was interviewing some people. We thought originally we'd put some of those interviews on this show, and it was pretty unanimous also, hands down, heads and so forth in order. Andy Pels?
Yes. It's interesting. Traveling Salesman points out something interesting that, we should talk a little bit more about heads and threads, but Cardinal being bought was part of a whole big round of mergers and acquisitions, there was a lot of this year. But the whole Cardinal story really was, with the government involvement, with the whole wind energy thing, and the fact that they were held up as an example of, here's, a bunch of new energy jobs are going to come out of this place, and then the whole thing just kind of fell apart. That was a whole nother facet to that story, so it was very interesting. And then as far as the fastener dumping, or the Asia, Europe, now China is claiming that Europe's dumping fasteners, and there's suits here about China doing it. It seems to me that it's just going to go on and on forever. But we'll see what happens with that. But, the heads and threads thing, coming from the distributor standpoint, back with the first distributor I worked for, heads and threads helped them keep from going out of business because they were in poor shape, the company I was working for, and heads was the only place that would actually sell us anything because the company had no money, basically. And then to see all these years later, to see them in the same kind of position and then go under, it was kind of ironic. And I think it's just really the top story because it affected everybody in every part of the industry, not, from a distributor standpoint, or the master distributors and even the manufacturers, all were kind of involved. So it was a big thing for the year.
Yeah, you heard a lot of variations on that theme of, oh, they helped me when we were really down, and I can't believe they've gone out of business. A lot of variations on that.
Yeah. But then if you look, really, it had gotten to the point where I don't actually do purchasing myself, but I'm involved in sourcing things. And at least from my perspective on it, they were too slow to try and expand to other product areas, and to be competitive in a tightening market like that, especially with Bright and Best expanding their product line, it was a shame, and they were good people. And actually, I'm glad a lot of them a lot of the people actually ended up at Porteous too, not just the product. But, there were some big mistakes, I think, that were made that ended up costing them.
It's interesting how Andy mentioned several of the employees going to Porteous from Heads and Threads, because obviously several of them ended up at other companies, including other importers. Whenever a company goes away, the people don't. Like we always say how you never leave the industry, but that's especially true as people scatter from a company that's gone away.
J.R. Prahl, from the standpoint of JHP Fasteners and a company operating out of the Michigan area, what was your perspective on one of the top stories of the year?
Eric, we really don't have a lot to say about it. We're in the sheet metal fabricating side, and we bought a little bit from Heads and Threads now and again, but it wasn't something that really impacted us in a real heavy way.
No, interesting perspective. I guess we tend to kind of get carried away and think that certain stories are going to affect everybody, but I guess your comment, in fact, says that that's not true.
Well, yeah, it affected us, and it was still big in the whole world of fasteners in general. Everyone can see that. It's just it was one of the most talked about things anywhere you went or anybody that you called. but the amount of product that we did with them was minimal at best, and so it wasn't a big crux for us, but it was interesting to sit back and watch and see how everything shifted and the conversations and everything went on your guys' side of things.
This is TS again. I think it's interesting. I think a big story this year also had to do with the Fastener shows. And I was listening to JR, and you guys just had mentioned FabTech. It's really not a Fastener show, but the Fastener shows, we had Las Vegas moving to a new location, which was interesting. It's kind of a big news story because it's the best show they've had in several years after some poorer shows, I guess, for Vegas, which kind of was an indicator how the industry was doing, because the industry seemed to be doing well this year, and the show did. And then the next breath, you had the Columbus show ending. And then you have a lot of discussions about a lot of other shows all over the country. And you have your Branson show, you have your Midwest Fastener Association show, NFDA's doing some shows. So I think there's been a lot of talking about shows this year, just a lot of changes, and looking in the future how that's all going to shake out. I think this is one of those years where you see a lot of them here. I don't know that they'll all be there in a few years, but again, Columbus is gone, but I think we're still shaking out that part of the industry too.
Andy, you were going to add on that?
Oh, I was just backing up slightly. I was talking about heads and threads. A lot of people, I think, weren't necessarily affected when they went out of business, like JR was saying, and that was part of the problem. It got to the point where there were a few special product lines that they had that maybe nobody else had or had competitively, but it had gotten to the point where almost everything they sold you could get somewhere else. And in my case, in Northern California, they had closed their branch up here, so it made them even less competitive. That's what I started to pipe up about before, but the shows, of course, Fastener shows this year, what I find kind of interesting, at least from my perspective, too, even though I wasn't there at Vegas, I was, monitoring Twitter and everything, and everybody seemed pretty excited and upbeat. But thinking about it now, hearing you guys talk about it, I don't know about you, but it seems like the general mood has kind of dampened since the show. Not because of the show, it's just I think we're hearing a little bit more news about next year, maybe not looking so good, especially for anybody who's in a bad position already.
I don't think you'd get any idea of that if you'd gone to the FabTech show, okay?
Oh, really? Yeah, see, maybe I should have. So there was a lot of good energy there.
I mean, walking into that show after the various Fastener shows we go to makes you realize there's a completely different side to shows. It was big.
Well, for one thing, the scale is just
enormous.
It's a completely different thing. I think they said there was 40,000 registered attendees.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, and I think, what is that, about 20 times the size of NIFS?
Yeah.
Well, we're a specialized group, like Fastener people. We don't want too many people hanging around.
Exclusive, right?
Well, yeah. That's right. But then again, everything that's fabricated, or most things, require a fastener. So FabTech is sort of associated with fasteners in a different way.
Oh yeah.
Hey, now I don't want too many people showing up at FabTech now. I mean, come on, you can't be giving away our secrets, Brian.
We aren't going to tell them where the show is, okay? All right. Yeah. But the size of some of the booths was alarming compared with what we're used to seeing at even Las Vegas shows. There's a lot of money put into some of these booths, so it would indicate to me that there's at least some people are thinking that there's a bit of hope in the industry still.
Oh yeah, I mean you look at some of the booths there, like Amada and companies like that, and they've got 2-tiered booths with a bar on the second floor. I mean, you're talking $300,000 for a booth.
True, and the big Mitsubishi one we stopped and had a look at, and there's some it was a sort of invigorating show because it makes you realize this is really what America was really known for, building things. Okay.
Oh yeah, it does. It really brings it back down to an almost grassroots kind of level. You see some shop guys go through there and they're just having a ball. You go over to the FlowJet booth and they've got Orange County choppers, motorcycles, and this and that and the other thing. And it's quite a trip.
Yeah. Even actually surprised our illustrious editor, Mr. Dudas, who was wide-eyed and amazed.
I think it's the first time on Fully Threaded I've ever been called Mr. Dudas.
Oh, sorry.
It was. I was thrilled. I couldn't get enough of that show. Thanks for the tickets also, JR. It was great for the invite. But we stayed there for quite a while, and I could have stayed a lot longer, that's for sure. It was an amazing place to be. I learned a lot, too. Well, I've got something that I think I'll read from IFI Chairman Jennifer Friel and her comment on the subject of the top story, and it has to do kind of broadly with reshoring and investment. And she says, reshoring large investments in American manufacturing by foreign-owned firms such as Worth Doka and Toyota's recent production plant change announcements. She also talks about Chrysler's investment in assembly in Toledo. She says, this tells me that while the headlines scream that American manufacturing is going down the tubes, companies are demonstrating with very large dollar investments that American workers and manufacturing talents are best in the world. That dovetails off of the FabTech conversation there. And, of course, she has her own perspective there, and she's a manufacturer and does a lot with automotive.
As far as reshoring and manufacturing coming back to the U.S., I think we've been finding a lot of the interviews I heard this past year on Fully Threaded about how things really work overseas for manufacturing. You've got plants just having to shut down because the government decides they don't get power for a week and things like that. That's things that in the United States we would never even consider. We've got natural disasters, but at least not yet. We don't have the government telling us, oh, by the way, we're going to shut off your power for a week. So those are factors that people are kind of, I think, reconsidering as far as reliability and things like that for considering using U.S. manufacturing versus overseas.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we'll be getting to some predictions at the end of the conversation here today, and we'll have to see if anybody predicts anything related to that, and I have something specific in mind there. Well, to wrap up the discussion on top stories of 2011 that are Fastener related, anybody have anything else to add on that or put a capstone on it?
I think the thing that was only mentioned once is really important in terms of the philosophy involved in it is the Granger-Fabry deal, because it represents the possibility of another Fastener coming out. I mean, that's clearly what Fabry wants, a massive distribution system.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's kind of an opposite flow scenario as I understood it, because they were trying to get more of a presence in Europe, and given the conditions over there as of late, boy, you got to wonder about the move in that direction.
One other theme, I guess, from the year is it seemed like it was a good year in the fastener industry, better than it had been in several previous years. And that affected a lot of different things. It affected trade show attendance. It affected mergers and acquisitions, I think. You did see several this year, which, you guys have mentioned some, and Field Fastener, somebody, I think McNulty mentioned that, their expansion. I think first year in several where everybody felt pretty good in the industry. And that was definitely a change after like 2008, 2009, maybe a little bit last year.
Oh yeah, that seemed pretty universal for the years, especially compared to maybe 2008. I think we all kind of hunkered down and maybe cut some fat, things like that. See how many cliches I can throw out, but
done pretty well so far.
Yeah. Put our nose to the grindstone.
Hello.
But it was a good year.
There's more reindeer games coming up next on Fully Threaded. When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stelfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stelfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stelfast today through our website at www.stelfast.com and put us to work for you. Stelfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
It's a screwy world out there, what with outsourcing, celebrity apprentices, crop circles, beavers, gargers, those shorts that are almost pants, and mimes. But when you think about it, saying the world is screwy is just unfair to screws, which ironically are what hold the whole world together. And the finest screws out there are supplied by Beacon Fasteners and Components. We can say that because our products are laboratory tested. Twice. Beacon Fasteners and Components also has the largest inventory in the industry, including thread forming, thread cutting, high-low tapping, SEMS, sheet metal, and our new machine screws. And they're all available RoHS compliant. Give Beacon a call today and one of our knowledgeable sales staff will guide you through the ordering process. Then we'll track your shipment, which is one less screwy little detail for you to worry about. Visit us at beaconfasteners.com. It's a screwy world, but Beacon is on top of it.
On Sunday, December 4th, Burl Ives again tells the exciting news story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the General Electric Fantasy Hour. The date, Sunday, December 4th. Join Rudolph in a trip to the island of misfit toys. Meet Yukon Cornelius, the funniest prospector of the North.
Gad, Zeus, the bumble snow monster of the North strikes again.
Meet Santa's elves and hear 7 original Christmas songs. Burl sings,
Have a holly jolly Christmas, it's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer.
It's a holly jolly Christmas special for the entire family. Don't miss Rudolph, Sunday, December 4th, in color on most of these stations.
Hi, this is John Butler with K&L Sales. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a safe and Happy New Year. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, with that, why don't we wrap up that part of the conversation and move on to our next question for our panel. And we had a couple of references to various FTR interviews, so why don't we get right to it and find out what was your favorite FTR interview of 2011? And we'll start with you, Mr. Andy Pels.
As soon as I saw that question when we were planning this, I knew there's no way I could answer because they're all outstanding, of course.
Oh, please.
Mr. Dudas.
Oh, that's cheap, Andy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, a little more effort required.
No, come on. This worked for me in school. It's a cop-out. You compliment the teacher, and they go on to the next person. No, it really is tough to say. And this will sound like a cop-out, but I don't care. You can't make me answer specifically. The type of interviews and I won't say level of people, but it's been really interesting to see more people, more what they would call C-level people, maybe, CEO type people in some of the bigger fastener companies have been on the show this year to talk about what's going on with them. And I've really found that very interesting. and especially when they've been on to discuss current events that are going on and that they're involved in. I was just telling my family, who of course is still bored by the fastener industry, just how fascinating it is to people like me, fastener freaks like me, to be able to hear that information firsthand. I mean, it's things that maybe would have gotten out as rumor in the past, but we're hearing things during the week that they're going on.
Right.
So there's my cop-out compliment combination.
Hey, we'll take it. And actually, we got a couple from our remote panel that agreed with you. McNulty, he enjoyed most of the season, was the interview with Andy Cohn from Duncan. And Russ Doran mentioned the parts 1 and 2 of the Bruce Darling overview. So that was a really prolific interview, I think. And, or actually it wasn't an interview. It was more of a presentation that we got from the Pac West. But that follows on to what you were saying. Jer, how about you? What did you enjoy the most out of the season?
Well, like you already mentioned, the Bruce Darling episodes, those were quite good. A couple of them really stood out to me, though. Anne-Marie Hoftailing, she was excellent. I like it when she talked about drinking her own Kool-Aid and making $1 out of thin air. She had a pretty good segment on there. And it's really hard to beat, at least for entertainment wise and the philosophical side. It's hard to beat Charlie Aceta. He claims the prize for the first FTR drug reference too, by the way. I remember that. So he said something like, to be honest, he wanted to have a job on the side that didn't tax his brain and spend his free time getting high and writing. So he definitely added to the lighter side of things. Something else that somebody might not necessarily point out was Alan Weitzman from JC Sales and Rivet, and a story when he was talking about the beginning of their company, and he said that it started out as an Army surplus store, and someone owed his grandfather some money, and instead of sending him money, he sent him a barrel of rivets, and his grandfather said, "I don't want the rivets." He said, "Too bad, they're already on their way," and so he sold all the rivets in quite a quick manner, and then asked the guy if he had any more. And so the rest is history. And Eric even commented on that, said, if you ever find out that story isn't true, don't tell anybody. Because it's a good one. So I'd have to say that those are my favorite FTR interviews for the season.
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, we'll get that one in under the wire, but believe it or not, JR, that was back on episode 11, September 9th, 2010.
Oh, wow.
So good memory there. And then the other interesting thing is we got from Joanne Bialas of International Fastener. She said the exact same two that you did at first. Anne-Marie Hoftailing and Charlie Aceta were her favorites of the year. So you guys have something in common.
Excellent. It's good company to be in,
I'll say.
Yeah, it is.
DS, what do you think?
Well, I forgot about Charlie's, and I can't believe I did, because that would have been right up there too. But my two favorites that I had written down were the Bruce Darling episodes, and then I also really enjoyed hearing Ron Sackheim talk. I thought that was a really good interview too. And I guess when you talk about Bruce Darling and Ron Sackheim in the same discussion, you're talking about two guys with a lot of history in the industry. So that must have been what attracted me, is just hearing about guys that have been in this industry such a long time and had so many perspectives and stories. Like Andy says, he's a fastener freak. I'm just interested in the industry and fascinated by these stories. As sad as that may seem, I still enjoy hearing those guys talk about, telling those stories. Andy Cohn's was similar to that too, I suppose. He had some really interesting stories. Charlie Aceta, a different category, but totally enjoyable too.
I know what you mean by that, and I have to agree. Brian, what do you think? What was your favorite? What did you have the most fun doing? Of course, you were a part of most of them, so.
Right. The fun one was Rick Finau, okay? The one I thought was, well, of course, Bruce Darling, because we've known Bruce for a while, and I get on pretty well with Bruce. The one I thought was the interview with Ron Sackheim, actually, for a whole heap of reasons. But one of them was, at the very time we interviewed him, I happened to be reading a book about the rather troubled development of the DC-10. And, of course, that was the plane his father was killed in. And it was sort of really interesting for that reason. And all the other things you could tell about the industry. He's a very interesting man. But I had fun with all of them, actually.
Well, I did too. I had a really good time with all of them, and that was number one on my list as well. My favorite interview of the season was definitely Ron Sackheim. There were a lot that were right up there close, but just having the privilege of interviewing him, and then after running the interview, having so many people comment that it was such a contribution to the industry. I think a lot of people got the opportunity to get to know Ron in a way that maybe some of them didn't. And then also the ones that really knew him well got a chance to hear from him, and they probably haven't heard from him that way in a long while. So for those reasons, it really made me feel good to be able to put it out there for everybody. And also to him, I was glad that he agreed to join us.
Yeah, right.
And that would be a good one to have back. Think about that in 2012. Seemed like he could have talked a lot more, and as much history is there, he's still sharp today and has a pulse on the industry and what's happening today. Because I remember you talking a little bit about what happened at Heads and Threads, and he's still very sharp and a lot of good input, not just from the historical standpoint, but what's still going on in the industry.
Yeah, he's pretty close to it, actually, even though he might pretend he's not that close. He knows a lot of what's going on. A lot of people talk to him still.
Yep. And I doubt very highly that he is a Twitter user, but a lot of us keep abreast of what's going on in the industry using Twitter. And I thought I'd just kind of throw a fun, quick question into everybody, because I think all present company, to a greater or lesser extent, are Twitter users, and just ask you, who do you see out there, present company excluded, as a driving force in the Twitter sphere right now? Andy, what do you think?
Oh, I think you changed the question a little bit. I guess she's a driving force too. You know how I really enjoy, and because I think Twitter should be something used for genuine communication, is Vicki Lester, I believe, does most of the tweeting on behalf of Pac West. She's out there, she's paying attention, she responds, and she's good at tying in photos and videos and all kinds of things like that. So, of course, present company accepted. She's one of the people that I like to see out on Twitter.
Yep, agreed. JR, you're a pretty heavy-duty Twitter user. What are you reading out there?
Well, I've kind of been on this Twitter hiatus since FabTech. I almost feel I got on and tweeted a little bit tonight. It almost felt foreign to me. It's only been like 2 weeks,
It's like not saying a at the end of a sentence, or okay,
right.
Isn't it? It's exactly. Really a bit weird.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. So Jackie Ventura, I enjoy what she has to say now and again, jumping in, and it's have a good time with her. And of course, I mean, I don't know, you can't exclude present company, because everybody here is a Twitter lover in the Fastener world. I mean, I think we all do our share to keep the excitement going. I guess one thing I notice is that some people will either tweet all news, or somebody tweets all entertainment. And you got to kind of have a marriage of the two. And I don't know, I personally try to excite conversation from others. I'll pick up on other people's comments and try to interject something to force them to engage. And then that gets someone else to engage and see what's going on, So I think we all kind of do it together. That's my cop-out answer, Andy. We all do it together.
Right.
Well, Traveling Salesman, you recently had a post on your blog about Twitter, and I think it had something to do with a real-world use for Twitter. And I noticed a couple of people actually seemed to join on right after that post. So I think you succeeded to some extent in getting a couple of new users. What was your take on that, and who's your most fond Twitter person out there currently?
Well, I'm right in line with Andy. I think Vicki Lester does a really good job. And I'll even pull in what JR just said, that you kind of combine entertainment and news. And Vicki does that as good as anybody that I see out there, because she'll post a link to a article about how to better use the social media just to kind of teach people. And then in the next breath, she's tweeting from the shows and she's tweeting from Pac West events, and she is creating the news while it's happening, which is part of what, Twitter does. And it's funny just all the different media that we use now. We used to have 3 or 4 magazines, and clearly everybody goes to online sites for news the day it's happening. And I think, there's a couple different users, like, the ladies from Hudson Fastener do a good job with their Fastener news site. But again, it's all news, as is Bazi Baza, Daniel Rivlin's site's all kind of news oriented, but Vicky kind of combines news and what's happening in the real world and her personal perspective. So that's why I kind of like the way she does it. So, and I think the way she does it, as more and more people use Twitter, I think they'll come to see a use for it. And if Vicky keeps doing what she's doing, she'll be leading the way.
Well, she's doing something right, because all of our remote panelists who answered this question, every one of them put Vicky Lester as their favorite tweeter of 2011. So congratulations to you, Vicky. And I would have to agree with you, TS, that Daniel Rivlin and his Bazi Fasteners account on Twitter is probably doing the best job of all-around international, all-fastener, all-the-time news.
I fit into the category of to a lesser extent, okay?
You just started there, Brian. We've noticed, and we welcome you on board.
I think Brian's going to just leap straight ahead to Google Plus because he's so much in favor of that.
Andy, for you especially, okay?
Yeah, for those of you who have noticed that Andy doesn't show up as much anymore these days, that's why he's turned into a Google Pluser.
I'm waiting for everybody to come and find me on Google Plus.
You're just ahead of the game, man.
I hope you've got a lot of patience, okay?
If you'll allow me back a year from now on the show, we can talk about what's happened with Google Plus in the last 12 months.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I have to say this, the most enigmatic of all the tweeters, the regular Fastener tweeters that I know of, is probably the mysterious A563TW. Have you seen some of the tweets that he does where it's just a number?
Yeah. What's that about?
I thought he fell asleep on his keyboard or something.
Actually, I have a hunch that it's the mileage on his car.
That's how he keeps track, huh? He keeps his mileage on Twitter.
I know what it is. I don't know why.
You can show it to the IRS later if he gets audited.
Oh, that's a good one. You're always thinking, Andy.
Wow, it's probably the name of one of the roads in England.
He's confusing an
They're
app
all A
with
numbers.
Twitter.
Well, that would be a story. Now, with that in mind, let's get on to our next subject. We've covered the most interesting fastener-related Twitter user. Now let's move on to topic 4, the most underreported theme or story of the year. And I'm going to start this one out. And it's something that we touched on a little bit earlier as we were talking about the top stories. And my most underrelated story is the story of how many companies did not go out of business. In other words, I've talked about this with several people, and I'm amazed that we didn't have way more distributors going out of business in late 08, 09, even into 010, and those that have been hanging on. And I know a few have, but I think that's the most underreported story, how many have actually successfully weathered the storm.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Like, how many people didn't die last year? But yeah, that's a good point. Because when I said something earlier about some companies did go out of business, but we didn't see it in droves. You're right. We didn't see masses of companies going under where it seems like maybe we should have. It's, I think, what you're saying.
Exactly.
Things did get pretty bad there.
Yep, they got real bad. And you heard a lot of people talking about headcount reductions and sharing of jobs and reducing hours and so forth. But a lot of these companies are still around. In other words, I've got a Rolodex and I call every day, every week, and most of these guys are still afloat. So there's my top story. Andy, what do you think? What was the most underreported story for you of the year?
I think there should have been more coverage and more attention paid to Brian's iPhone getting dropped in the water, was it?
No, it got left outside on a table and it rained.
Oh, okay. And the whole saga of trying to bring it back to life.
Oh, I have got stories to tell you about resuscitation, let me tell you.
Yeah, speaking personally, I heard plenty of that one.
I can hear Eric rolling his eyes right now. No, I'm not going to cop out again, but I think I'm going to get a little ethereal about this, but I think maybe something that's not reported on because we don't know how to quantify it is just how the fastener industry, I think, is changing, especially, again, I'm talking from a distribution standpoint, but, I've made mentions in the past, half jokingly, about a revolution, but I do think technology is going to change the way fasteners are sold more than just making it more efficient. The fax machine came along and made it what we do more efficient, but we still did the same thing. I don't know what's going to change, but I just think as far as reporting it as a story, if maybe somebody who is more intelligent than I could look at how things are changing now and maybe predict what's going to happen over the next 2-3 years, just using mobile technology and things like that. I do think that maybe we will see some companies left behind, not because the economy is bad, but because they didn't see the changes coming. And again, I don't see them either. I know there are going to be changes, but I don't know exactly what they're going to be. So it'll be interesting to see as it goes along.
All right. Private message me later.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. JR, what do you think? Most underreported theme of 2011?
Well, I hate to go back and kind of beat a dead horse, but I'm going to do that a little bit because he's right here, he's right in front of us, and we can kind of push him a little bit for some answers. And that is, they're kind of one and the same as why Andy Pels was not in Vegas, and also what is he going to do? What is he going to do with all of that plating from all of the HTI fasteners? So, Andy, I'm really looking for some answers here, and what do you got for me?
Yeah, it didn't get a lot of play outside of the FTR episode, really, did it, Andy?
Oh, well, I was going to say, it's supposed to be underreported, not overreported.
We didn't even hear who was giving out the peanuts in the Porteous corporate jet.
Oh, well, I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement once I got on board, so I'm not at liberty to discuss any further details of the arrangement.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But that does explain my absence from Vegas, and I know everybody got along without me as best they could, so I appreciate your patience with me.
Well, we'll let you off the hook right now, but when that agreement runs out, we're gonna circle back and get you on that one.
Okay.
Traveling salesman, what's your 2 cents?
My 2 cents is I don't have one in particular subject that I thought was underreported, but I think you guys have hit on a bunch of ideas. I think not so much that they're underreported, but maybe they're under-discussed. Like, we don't talk about them. Eric, your start was interesting, that the companies haven't gone away. In the next breath, there's been a lot of acquisitions. There's just like a changing of the players. But you're right, they haven't gone away, but they are getting bought, and they're being absorbed or transferred. So something's going on, but, it's not like they're all dying off. Just another personal story I like watching is the trade show and the trade organizations. An interesting story for me was that Nancy Rich, who's long time worked with the Midwest Fastener Association, is now involved with CFA, the Southeast Group.
Right.
And for a couple of years, I think there's been talk of trying to get industry organizations to work together, whether that be to come up with a trade show they put on jointly. And still, there's the All-American show in Branson, and there's been talk of other shows in other areas. And you just keep hearing little trickles of information and rumors, and it's kind of like nobody has ever talked to all the groups and say, what are you guys planning? You continuously hear information, but no reporting. that's kind of another underreported story for me that I keep paying attention to.
I got a good one here from Joanne Bialas, makes me think of it, and her comment was, if it was underreported, I'm not familiar with it. We got another good one here from Andy Cohn, and his was, is China a stable manufacturing partner for the long run, or is their craziness going to impact us here?
Yeah, that would be an Andy question, actually, because he would know the answer already.
Russ Doran was thinking about the disruption of the supply chain from Japan, and Mike McNulty seconded him on that one.
Mm-hmm.
They were thinking about the tsunami and earthquake impacts on global fastener business.
Right, and on the U.S. auto industry.
What were you thinking, Bri, in terms of the underreported story of the year?
Well, I think one underreported was actually the end of the Columbus show. Now, it was talked about a lot, but talked about by people I never really saw it written about that much.
Right.
And it has an interesting impact. And everyone said, well, it can't possibly be, and there's a million reasons why it should never have happened. But that was people talking, not necessarily in the press.
Would you have any interest in putting together kind of a NIFS Columbus show retrospective segment? Maybe it'd be like a 4 or 5 part series.
Like 3 or 4 seconds each.
I guess not. Well, I do have one other underreported story of the year, and that's kind of dovetailing on the NIFS theme. And that is, for any of you who attended the open session at the beginning of the first day of exhibits out there in Las Vegas this year, there was probably, I think I counted something about 120 people that attended that. And in the back of the room, they had, 4,000 to 5,000 chocolate donuts and Long Johns. I'm just wondering what happened to all those donuts left over.
Well, I know Andy Pels didn't come, so he's not responsible. He's off the hook.
Well, apparently nobody has too much to say about the donuts, so I guess we'll just move on to the prediction segment.
Hey, Eric, you got several answers from people that you contributed earlier. What were some of their predictions?
Okay, we can start with those. Let's see. Andy Cohn said that there's going to be an anti-dumping investigation against the Chinese on something just to stir up the waters. Jennifer Friel thought that 2012 is going to end up stronger than 2011, barring a collapse in Europe. She's forecasting 5% to 10% increase. So you got to love that, putting down some cash on the barrel head right there with her predictions. You got to like that one, huh?
So she's not predicting a crash in Europe then, clearly.
Well, at the time she sent this over, a week or so ago, I guess she wasn't thinking that was imminent. So, And of course, we don't necessarily know if she equates a fall of the euro to a collapse in Europe either.
Correct.
Russ Doran chimed in with a couple. He thought a volatile market in an alternative energy is going to kind of poke its head up, and then also Fastenal is going to continue to dazzle Wall Street. So Gary Polipnik, if you're listening, or David Dukes, you got some fans out there in the mountain zone.
Brian, why don't you lead us in this category? What is your prediction for 2012?
More people are going to finally realize that you can actually use the web to buy and sell fasteners and find information about them. Apple's going to release an iPhone 5 in late spring. They're going to release a TV that you can talk to probably in December next year.
I've been yelling at mine for years because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan.
This time you're going to talk to it just like Siri, okay? I think that's what Siri was released for.
Maybe the TV version will be called You Idiot.
No, you have to be able to name it, so mine will be called Hal.
You're going to name your phone Hal?
Yep.
Well, you've been through hell with your phone, so.
Yeah.
Fair name.
So the phone's going to try and lock me out of the house. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
And now it'll be 3 against 1 in the Musker Dempsey household. It'll be Lynn, Jack, and the phone all teamed up against you, buddy.
This is very well. Jack's doing his best at the moment, actually.
What do you think over there, J.R. Prahl? What's coming down the pike for 2012?
Well, I don't know what kind of predictions you're looking for, but since you're throwing out iPhone predictions, I think just about anything goes. At least from our standpoint, where we see here in the fabricating fastener world, I see a lot of cautiously optimistic end users. Fabricators, I guess, is who I'm talking about. Last year was our JHP Fastener's second best year in its history. And this year we're on track to meet and exceed that. And I talk to a lot of customers who say they can see the work out there and they have it, but their crystal ball has shortened in time. They used to be able to say, yeah, I've got 3 to 6 months of solid work. Now they say, I've got 3 to 6 weeks. They're busy, but it's not for long. And that it keeps coming, and it's still coming, but it's really making them very wary about things to come. That being said, it's continued to trickle like that all year long. So I guess my prediction based on that is that it will keep going that way, barring any new disasters financially in the global market.
More with this barring disaster.
Well, you got to throw in that disclaimer, otherwise, you hold your feet to the fire. Nobody wants to do that.
No, I understand. It's like everybody's got these qualifications, these big asterisks on their forecast. But what can you do? We're living in an uncertain world.
Well, we're also living in a very interconnected world, and as problems in Europe really lead to their own predictions of zero growth, and even now in Germany. So, since there's such a big market for the US, that means that the US really has to, can keep growing, but it just has to find markets outside Europe for a while.
Andy Pels, predictions for 2012?
It's got to be an interesting year, one way or another. Like we're talking about, will it be disaster or will it be another year of decent growth? But what you guys, I think, have really hit on is the uncertainty that's out there as far as, if you've been buying a lot of import stuff, then there's definitely uncertainty there. You don't know whether any of these suits are going to end up biting you in the rear. There's just general uncertainty about Europe, of course, and about things going here. I mean, we're going into an election year. It's going to be very interesting. But I think maybe one of the differences is that this past year, and I'm sure carrying over into next year, is that we've become accustomed to the uncertainty. Like JR was saying, the lead times or the backlogs are shortening, but we're adjusting to that. We're adjusting, I think, our business models and our expectations to not being able to plan as far out with the way things are going and the way things are changing. So I think just the continued uncertainty, but the continued adjustment to it should be very interesting.
Well, it's like that overused phrase, Andy, that you hear lately. It's the new normal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So completely missing were the projections about Google. I mean, I was waiting for these.
That Google Plus is going to destroy Twitter and Facebook also, right?
Yeah, Facebook's going to go broke next year because of Google Plus.
Oh, you guys think so? That's pretty bold prediction.
I thought you were going to be telling me that.
No, but I do, since you're beating me up about it, I think it's going to hold its own. And I think in some certain segments of, the cooler people will be on Google Plus.
Well, that certainly cuts me out.
I do think it's going to make it, and I think it's going to turn out to be an interesting addition to what's out there. I mean, it's got some facets of Twitter and some facets of Facebook sort of combined, and adds some other things. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Google Plus over the year.
All the deciders will be on Google Plus.
There he is.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, here's a guy who's not going to be on Google Plus, as far as I know, and that's TS. What do you think? What's your crystal ball say for 2012?
A lot of things to touch on, but this year was solid all year. I don't see why next year wouldn't begin that way. One of the things I wonder about, I just read the article about China steel price reduction coming in January and February of like 7% because they're consuming less internally in China. Somehow I figure that affects us. I'm no Bruce Darling that can put it all together and figure out how that affects the cost of the fasteners that end up at the distributor, but they're not consuming as much over in China right now, which I guess they're slowing down production to offset that. Somehow that whole flow affects us. So that's one thing I put there in trying to figure out what's going to happen. Boy, every time, the stock market goes crazy, every time anybody sneezes in Greece or Italy, and I mean, we've had the stock market go like a roller coaster all year. Apparently has no effect on the fastener industry. The fastener industry was pretty strong all year, even though in the news there's all kinds of horrible things going, making it go up and down. So, I think we've really reduced inventories and labor and everything to do with our fastener businesses here. So I don't really see that we would have an enormous drop off right away. It wouldn't be so harmful if business slowed up some like it did a few years back. I think next year should be good, should continue on. I would think in election year, people would be trying to make the economy look good, people in office, and keep moving forward. So anything they can do to affect it, I imagine they would. And who knows? I suppose certain, people who want a Republican president, if they see that as a possibility, that can make everything go up too.
Well, you kind of dovetail right into my main prediction for 2012. And I think it's very fastener related, and that is that our current president is going to be decisively defeated, and that's going to give way to a change in government. I hope that it's a positive thing. I hope that it's something that will allow us to begin to dig out of the very deep hole that we're in, but I see that happening.
I was wondering when politics were going to come up. I thought maybe it was an imposter that we had leading the discussion. But now I know it's you, Eric. Or, I'm sorry, Mr. Dudas. But that's all I'm going to say.
Well, glad that I could accommodate you on that one. I do have one other prediction for 2012, and that one hits close to home for us, and that is that I see FCH doubling in size in 2012.
Wow.
Let's hope the fastener market mimics your growth.
So how exactly do you think it's going to double in size?
Well, the domain name, fastenersclearinghouse.com, it's pretty long. We're going to name it FCH Sourcing Network for the fastenerindustry.com.
Oh, okay. That's bound to succeed, that is.
No, actually, we're going to double the amount of network users. That's what I meant by that number.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yep, we're going to keep driving, boys.
Wait, what? Just so we can hold you to it next year, what exactly does that mean? Double the number of people that are searching for things?
Yeah, actually, the traffic that's going through the network. Currently, on any given business day, we're hanging around anywhere between 700 and 1,000 companies sourced through the network, and we're going to try to double that.
I can see that happening. It's a thing of the future. I mean, it Brian alluded to, and when we've been talking before, some people just need to get used to the idea still. It's one of those things that the early adopters have been there a while, but there's going to be a lot more people coming along realizing what a useful technology it is.
Well, we're banking on that, and we've got a few other things that we're working on, and they've been slow in coming, but one of these days we're going to get a chance to pull the trigger. So I think it'll benefit the whole industry, and mark my words, you'll hear about it first on Fully Threaded. Well, JR, one other thing that you might be exclusively capable of answering, and that is, which episode of Fully Threaded for 2011 had the most okays in it? And I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't have to answer. But
well, it's going to be the one I did the segment on for sure. But I can't tell. They're so spread out, but there are some that are. I mean, when you're listening to it, I mean, I had to listen to a lot of hours of FTR to get that together.
Well, we had a lot of fun with that segment, and the segment that we're talking about, folks, is from, I believe it was in episode 34, and JR put together a little reel of Brian saying okay and glued them all together, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, that segment was okay,
It was sort of okay. What, did you like me teaching Siri how to say okay?
What does Siri think of that when you start whipping out some of that lingo on her?
It's amazingly adaptable, actually. I mean, it is. You can ask it some really interesting questions. It's been programmed by people who have a great sense of humor.
Well, speaking of putting segments together and putting all kinds of things together for the show, I was a little unsure about how this would actually turn out. Of course, I haven't boiled it down yet, but I was imagining something like almost a Fastener version of the McLaughlin Group or something. I think it turned out pretty well. What do you think, guys?
It did go well. We took turns very well. We were very polite.
It was a pleasure talking to all of you guys, and I think I could speak for Brian when I say that all three of you have supported the show in your own way, and we really, really appreciate it, just about as much as we appreciate all the people who sent in their remote answers, Andy and Jennifer, Mike McNulty, and Russ and Joanne, and I don't know what to say. Thanks a lot. It's been a great year. We hope to do another one next year.
Hey, thanks for having us, Eric and Brian. I mean, I know I appreciate it. That's for sure. And I wanted to note, too, that three of us have already tweeted about this before it's even over.
Yeah, I was impressed that JR started tweeting while we were in mid-conversation. I thought, wow, this guy can a multitasker if there ever was one.
Well, if I wasn't still sitting at my dual monitor station, that wouldn't be happening, I guarantee you.
You're a tech god.
Right.
And we should point out that because we have Andy Pels with us, we might even be on Google+.
Oh, that's right.
I've resent Google Plus invitations to a couple of you so far. I'm sure you'll ignore them.
Well, we'll hang on to them just in case.
Well, guys, once again, we're going to wind her up, but happy Christmas to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the last episode of Fully Threaded for the season.
Thanks for the opportunity, guys.
It's been cool to be along for the ride.
Glad to join you. Thanks for a great year.
Stick around for the very merry conclusion of this episode, especially if you've been good this year.
This is Sue Rice with the FCH team. It's my job to make sure that as an FCH member, you receive the highest possible benefit from your participation in the network. Did you know that once you're logged into FCH, you have access to exclusive search tools, site statistics, and tracking information about your inventory and source finder inquiries? It's all just a click away, and I'm happy to walk you through it. If it's time to refresh your inventory, don't worry. We'll run your listings through our scrubber software and get you up and running in a very short time. If you can attach a spreadsheet to an email, you can list inventory on FCH. We can also show you how to optimize your listings to attract the most hits for your type of fastener. Send email to Sue at fastenersclearinghouse.com and let me help you get the most from the FCH sourcing network. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for the Injured Marine Semper Fi Fund, www.semperfifund.org. Over the past 7 years, twice a year, the wonderful people who operate the Semper Fi Fund and many amazing Marines who have been the beneficiaries of the charities that have supported the Semper Fi Fund, including many thousands of individual donors, have come into my radio studio to tell their amazing stories of serving their country, of being wounded, and how the Semper Fi Fund has helped them make that transition back to recovery. Unfortunately, Bethesda and Walter Reed are full again. More and more men and women are coming back from the war injured, sometimes awfully so. We need the Semper Fi Fund to be there for these Marines and those soldiers, sailors, and airmen who served alongside of them. Please consider a gift to the Semper Fi Fund. Very low overhead, extraordinary capacity to get money where it needs to get in a hurry, and great management, including some of the senior Marines who have ever served under the flag. When you're looking for something to do that will make an impact, please check out the Semper Fi Fund. That's www.semperfifund.org, www.semperfifund.org.
Isn't there anyone who knows what Christmas is all about? Sure, Charlie Brown. I can tell you what Christmas is all about.
Hey guys, this is the one and only Rebecca Day of Exact Industries, and you're listening to my online fasting soul brothers, Brian and Eric, on Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you from the online fastener candy cane factory. Fully Threaded Radio.
Where are the candy canes? Oh, that's the Christmas thing, right? So.
Theater of the mind, my friend.
Ah, okay.
Well, that was fun.
Well, think who you had there. The ever and very, very elusive Andy Pels. We caught him finally. J.R. Prahl pretending to be like me. And the traveling salesman hiding behind a tree.
What a motley fastener crew, all dressed up in their holiday finest.
Right.
I didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off, but I think it turned out okay. And I'll tell you, for anybody who's curious, it's kind of a behind-the-scenes juggling act going on there, but I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward to record people scattered in different places without them. It's easier if you can see what other people are doing. You know when not to talk.
Right.
Right. This is one of these little hidden problems.
You know, I'll also point out that Mike McNulty and I did not in any way coordinate our predictions for 2012. It shows that I guess there's some pretty important issues on the horizon, and I was actually not surprised by what his predictions were, but we did not set that up ahead of time.
Okay.
Well, Christmas is creeping up on us. The holidays are, that is, and I don't know about you, but I always find myself doing extra reading on every holiday before it comes up, but I haven't really done any reading on Christmas this year. You do anything like that?
No, not really. No, I use the time to catch up on web searches of things that I've been interested in and never really had the time to do because emails are coming in and we have to deal with running a business. So I use that time. It's very valuable time, actually.
It sounds very festive.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Well, kind of putting a capstone to Thanksgiving, one thought that I had was, I was reading that Mayflower book that I mentioned on episode 35.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed that regarding the first Thanksgiving dinner, they never mentioned anything about the leftovers. What do you think they did with them?
Then maybe there were none. They're pretty hungry, I think.
You think William Bradford gave Tupperware to Squanto and Massasoit and all those guys? Thanks for coming.
Yeah, right. Well, a hollowed out bit of bark, I don't think, rather than Tupperware.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much left over anywhere.
Yeah, I think you're right. Speaking of theater of the mind, though, Well, with that, we'd better get ready to wrap this episode up. And before we do, let's thank our guests on today's panel. And they were the Traveling Salesman. Check out his blog at fastenerblog.net. Also, Andy Pels with screwcrew.com. And the man of 1,000 voices, J.R. Prahl. Also like to thank J.R. for putting together that wonderful mini drama at the top of today's episode, which we entitled The Gift.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll keep coming up with some of those. I mean, he did a great job on that.
Yeah, he did.
Also like to thank some of our remote contributors who sent in their comments for our year-end wrap-up, and they were Andy Cohn of Duncan Bolt, Joanne Bialas of International Fasteners, Jennifer Friel with Midwest Fabricating, and Russ Doran of Timberline Fasteners. Also with us today was Simmi of Stelfast. Something suddenly popped up and we had to change plans, but Simmi, thanks so much for jumping in on that. It was great having you. And of course, Mr. Mike McNulty with the Fastener News Report. Appreciate your efforts today and also the support of Fastener Technology International magazine. And our title sponsors for the show today were Stelfast and Beacon Fasteners and Components. We also had Volt Industrial Plastics sponsoring the Fastener News Report. Thanks all of you. And thank you, every one of you, for listening in today. That's critical to our success, and we hope that you'll get with us with any comments at the email address ftr@fullythreaded.com. We're also out on Twitter under the handle fullythreaded.
And we mean that, folks. We really appreciate comments, suggestions we can add to content or whatever. And so look forward to you sending in comments.
Absolutely. And don't forget also to check out the Facebook page for Fully Threaded. And we'll have the show links up there. And we've got one more to discuss before we close this episode out. And that has to do with something that really isn't all that thematic, other than we're going to have to connect the dots on this one, Bri. But I saw this whizzing around on Twitter earlier in the week, and I just couldn't pass it by. A fascinating video on the subject of recycling computer components. And some of the outcomes of that recycling are pretty impressive.
Yes, I looked at that. I remember it's been talked about for years that it's worth melting down or processing these printed circuit boards to get gold out of them, because the gold is usually what's used on the actual contacts. But you never really put into perspective until you see a foundry with gold pouring out one end and all these masses of printed circuit boards going in the other end.
That's right. It's pretty dramatic on this video. And again, it'll be up on the Facebook page. It's called Recycling Computers. And it's actually a couple of years old, but it's just mind-blowing to see these gold bars coming out of the back door of this factory.
Yeah, well, one of the things that they didn't, to my mind, deal with that well was the byproducts of the extraction process, because some of the chemicals they're using are pretty grim, to dissolve the main chips. They're using a mixture of nitric and sulfuric acids, which is called aqua regia. It's like the most destructive fluid known.
Yeah, I know what you mean. This whole thing does not look very RoHS compliant.
No, I don't think so. But I guess whatever there are means of disposing of it is better than having them all in a big dump somewhere.
Yeah, well, those gold bars at the end of the process, I think, is what's motivating people. And, who knows? Maybe this is 2008, I think it was uploaded, and maybe this is all banned by the FDA now, knowing the way things are going with government entities.
Right, yeah. Actually, at one stage, they were showing a slightly different process that led to gold powder that was used somewhere in the actual manufacturing of chips. And they had this bottle, I guess it was not a bottle rather than a little drum, valued at $47,000. Oh, God.
Yeah. And then there's the gold wire also, which comes out of the processing.
Right, that's right, yeah. And, speaking of gold, my mind went back to in our Wayback Machine, because the very first article that ever came out about Fasteners Clearinghouse was actually titled Surplus Inventory as Lost Gold Found.
That's right.
That was in the spring issue of 2007 of Distributors Link.
Yep.
And it was, that's when FCH just started up. I guess we've been going for about 3 months or 4 months by then. It's still our fairly early days. And the idea that you could actually use the web to buy fasteners was still a little bit remote in a lot of people's minds.
As was the idea of selling it, which was more to the point. The theory being, hey, you have this stuff getting dusty on the shelf, put it online, have somebody come and get it from you, and boom, free money, lost gold found.
Right, and it was a great idea, and still is. I remember in those early days, there were a number of people who suggested you couldn't possibly really use the web to buy and sell fasteners. It just wasn't the right place. I don't know what those people are thinking quite now. Maybe they still think that. Another interesting thing about this article is that it was written by a man called Frank Danconia. Okay. Now, some of our, our more aware members or listeners might remember they've heard that name before, and it was under the name of Francisco Danconia.
That's right.
Who was one of the main people in Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. He was the Chilean copper baron, and we used that name in our own communications, actually quite a lot.
Well, it was a pseudonym chosen for a reason, wasn't it?
Right, it was, yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. things have changed a bit. In those days, we had our ad, and the distributor's link was just like a white thing that just says, "Why wouldn't you buy or sell surplus fastener inventory online? Why wouldn't you?"
Well, we were daring even back then, Brian.
That's right. Okay, that was good. So that's my trip back to the Wayback Machine. Now we're back in Christmas 2011.
Well, thanks for the retrospective redux. Well, everybody, before we wrap up this episode of Fully Threaded Radio, I'd like to thank each one of you again for joining us and for sending us your positive messages throughout the year. And I guess just for helping us build FCH and Fully Threaded over the course of the past year. We made lots of new friends doing this, and your support means more to us than you'll know. You know, we're living in very exciting times, but they're also very uncertain, and they're dangerous too. None of us knows what's ahead. But I hope you'll stick with us and stick with the show as we try to play our small role in advancing the fastener world, and maybe even helping you to connect with some others who can give you strength and build your courage and help you grow through whatever it is that's coming our way. At least that's our hope. I also hope you'll take some time during the holidays to reflect on the many gifts we have in our family members and good friends, and really to consider the blessings we sometimes take for granted. It's a perfect time of year to do that.
Yes, Christmas is a time to reflect on the great benefits of friendship, to meet with your friends, and we've made a lot of friends online through the Fully Threaded and through our Fasteners Clearinghouse. And I'd like to thank you for being a part of our big family of friends. I hope you all have a great Christmas or holiday season, and look forward to joining up with you again in the new year when we start Fully Threaded again.
That's right. Merry Christmas, everyone. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. We'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.
Lights, please. And there were in the same country shepherds, abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them. And the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not. For behold, I bring you tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.